We have Mr. Subramanian Swamy, Member of Parliament in the Rajya Sabha, joining us live. Dr. Swamy, thanks so much for joining us, sir, on the broadcast. The revelation that has just come out as far as the Moin Qureshi case, where a court has pulled up the role of the CBI. It's not just the SSR case, where the investigation has alleged to be, a tardy one by the CBI, but also in the case of Moin Qureshi, the conduct of the CBI. Now the court says there's no doubt about it being the premier agency, but it has to rise to the occasion.
Well, it's not only these two, but even in the Cole case, there was a lot of strictures passed. I think the issue is here, first of all, if the Bombay police has been playing ducks and drakes, and so is the CBI, what will happen to the public confidence that our elected representatives will ensure that justice is done in all matters where crime is committed? Even in corruption cases, we are finding where it's open shut cases this happening. But in this particular case, what disturbs me most of all is the law that is being broken. See, in all the other cases you mentioned, there was an FIR registered, then there were charge sheets filed and all, and then nothing happened, like in the Moin Qureshi case. But in this particular case, even an FIR has not been registered after, I think, 40 days. And what the law says is so clear that FIR is the first thing you have to register. This goes for Bombay as well as the CBI. And it's there in section 154 of the CRPC, right, which every officer is supposed to have. And what the Supreme Court has said, and this is what I want to tell the CBI, the word shall, because what it says in section 154 on the FIR is that any information comes in, it shall be reduced in writing by him. And that is the FIR. And the court says the word shall used in this section 154 leaves no discretion in the police officer to hold preliminary inquiry before recording the FIR.
Very important.
Use of the expression
information
without any qualification also denotes that the police has to record the information despite it being unsatisfied by the reasonableness or credibility of the information.
Right. If I may, Dr. Swamy, what is the allegation that you're making? Do you believe that the rich and the powerful in Bollywood have somehow used their influence to try and sort of sway the CBI's probe? Is that the charge that you're making here, sir?
CBI can only be swayed by politicians. So since the CBI is under a Minister of State in the center, as well as overall in charge of the Prime Minister, who has so many other engagements, so he relies on his principal advisor.
Right.
And these are the people who have to be examined.
Right.
The Minister of State is a very straight, upright man. Maybe things have bypassed him. Okay. But the principal secretary to the Prime Minister is, in my opinion, the former 9 years private secretary to Mr. Sharad Pawar.
Okay.
So therefore, I think this delay could be traced to him.
If I may just play devil's advocate for a minute, Dr. Swamy, a simple question that I want to ask you: is it possible that the CBI has, through the course of its investigation, come across material that it cannot make public for the purpose of the investigation itself, or that it has perhaps been unable to find anything clinching? Because there's a lot of circumstantial evidence, but perhaps they have not been able to lay their hands on something clinching.
FIR has got nothing to do with clinching evidence. You have information that an unnatural death has taken place, and therefore you have to register an FIR. And then you investigate. When you come to file your final report, that is the charge sheet to the court, before that you can evaluate your evidence. Can we go and tell the court that yes, there's a charge which can be made and a trial can begin? But at the FIR stage itself, you have no right to evaluate the evidence. You have got an information, and you must register an FIR.
All right, Dr. Swami, before I let you go, your final demand from the CBI registering an FIR, and what would you like to see them do? Would you like to see them come out and make a public statement as to the status of this investigation?
Well, that afterwards. First, register the FIR, and I'd like to see how it is written, and then I can ask, what have you done so far? Because if you have already had preliminary investigation, then you'll have to append it to the FIR.
Okay.
So that we can know how far we have come.
All right. Dr. Swami, I'd like to thank you so much for joining us here on the show today. We'll certainly have to wait and see what the CBI's response is to this story. But thank you so much for joining us.